Welcome, folks, to another edition of Are You Zom-Safe? This week, it is Worthing, West Sussex, a nice town on the south coast of Britain. Ah, Britain. Reminds me of that time I made a pass at Yoko Ono while John Lennon was in the restroom. And he kicked the crud out of me. Give peace a chance, my foot.
Well, the shrill voice of the announcer means that it's time for another edition of Are You Zom-Safe? This week, we're traveling to the island of Britannia, where we will assess just how safe Worthing, West Sussex is when the zombie apocalypse hits. And it will hit. With me, to my left, wearing a classy bowler hat, is Jason, I can't believe I ate the whole thing, Hall.
I really can't believe I ate the whole thing.
So, Worthing, West Sussex is a seaside town in England that has a population of roughly 102,000 people. The area around Worthing has been settled for 6,000 years, and there are even some Stone Age flint mines.
Point. Flint can be used to make weapons.
Yes, crappy weapons. Moving on. The city gets points for its name, which in Old English apparently means place of the one who is noble, because nobility is something needed in the zombie apocalypse. Worthing also has a fine history in the arts, including connections to none other than Oscar Wilde.
Ah, yes. Who you will all remember from his days as a wrestler in the 1980s.
What? Oscar Wilde was not a wrestler.
Yes, he was. You remember he ran around with that painted-on mask, the streamers hanging off his arm?
The Ultimate Warrior?
Yes! Any town that has the Ultimate Warrior will do well in a zombie apocalypse.
Okay, Oscar Wilde wasn't the Ultimate Warrior. He was... You know what? It doesn't matter. To continue, there are some interesting legends around Worthing, including the Midsummer Tree, which was believed during Midsummer's Eve skeletons would rise from the tree and dance around it until dawn before going back into the ground. You know what that sounds like to me?
Festive zombies.
Indeed. So obviously Worthing already has some experience with creatures of the zombified nature.
Our first picture is of the famous English phone booth. I say, points to Worthing for having these because they are vital in a zombie apocalypse for escaping. You hop in, press some buttons, and bam! You are somewhere else.
Ah, yes. Doctor Who.
I don't know who that is. I was referring to Bill and Ted.
Oh, please tell me you're joking. You're putting two guys from a subpar movie on the same level as an iconic television show that's been on the air for like 50 years?
Well, how iconic can they be if I have not heard of it?
You haven't heard of a lot of things. Remember when I asked you who the first Prime Minister of Canada was? What'd you say?
Scooby-Doo.
I rest my case. Plus, both the movie and Doctor Who are make-believe, so they're not going to help you. If you get into the phone booth hoping to escape zombies, you'll only die a slow and agonizing death, or as I call it, watching slides of Jay's trips to the grocery store.
Those are classic.
Our next picture is of a church in Worthing called St. Andrew's. This church is made of stone, and it's already stood for roughly 1,000 years, so you know it can survive a zombie apocalypse. Just get yourself into that church, close the door, and make sure you have supplies, and you should be completely fine in the apocalypse. There seem to be a lot of stone buildings around Worthing, and that's good news for you guys. Zombies are not going to be able to break through the stone, and if you can make sure you have everything you need in the stone buildings, you can wait it out. The only problem is, if you stay in there too long, you may become surrounded by zombies, and then you have no way out.
I would like to point out that the church gives you the chance for an epic zombie kill. If you have a helicopter, you can grab a zombie, fly up above the church, and drop the zombie on the steeple. If the zombie is impaled on it, you would be rewarded with Zombie Kill of the Decade because it would just be so badass.
If you have a helicopter, you could just fly away rather than picking up zombies and dropping them.
Why must you destroy my ideas? Your therapist said you should be more open to other people's suggestions.
What? I'm not in therapy.
Craig is a bedwetter.
Dude, I told you that in confidence.
Anyone who has seen your sheets drying outside already knows.
Still, now everyone knows.
Our next photo is of some sort of wacky bus. Perhaps this was an accident. Did two buses fall upon each other?
It's a double-decker bus. These are really popular in the United Kingdom. This is actually good news for Worthing. The reason for this is that being on the second level of the bus pretty much puts you out of harm's way. Reinforce the front of the bus, have a strong door, and live up on the second level. If you can rig some sort of remote control system, you'll be able to drive the bus from the second level, leaving yourself nice and safe as someone else picks off zombies with a gun. Perfect vehicle in a zombie apocalypse.
We need these in Canada.
Agreed. Alright, our next photo is of a beach, because we know Worthing is a seaside city. Another good point for Worthing: if you live next to the sea, you have a great escape route. Zombies can breathe underwater, or not breathe, I guess, but if you're on a boat, they're not going to get you. So have a houseboat or a yacht, and you'll be sitting pretty off the coast.
Also, if you do not have a boat, you can dig a trench around yourself in the sand, creating a nifty moat. That way, you can sit in the middle of your man-made beach island, protected by a moat as the zombies fall in.
Couldn't the zombies just walk into the moat and then walk out and kill you as you try and get away, most likely drowning in the moat?
Good point. Okay, I also recommend putting up a 15-foot, 5-foot thick steel wall around you, which itself is surrounded by your beach moat.
You could just surround yourself with a steel wall and leave the moat out of it. Also, how are you going to get a steel wall around you?
Drop it in by helicopter.
So your rationale is to go to the beach, and instead of getting onto the helicopter and flying away to safety, you will instead choose to stand in the middle of a circular steel wall around you, where you will most likely die of hunger.
There you go, shooting down my ideas.
It's a dumb idea.
Your therapist will not be happy.
To shift this conversation in a different direction, let's look at our next picture, which seems to be a carousel. It's a rather stunning one, I must say. And carousels are great when zombies are around you because it can constantly be turning, and the zombies will have a hell of a time trying to get onto the carousel without falling off. You can just sit back on your brightly colored horse laughing at them. Although if you do stay on too long, you will probably get sick.
What you could do is attach a bunch of running chainsaws to each pole of the carousel, and then the zombies would be cut down as the carousel turned. It would be an epic killing machine of untold awesome sauceness.
You just blew my mind.
It is an awesome idea.
Our last picture is of the highest point in Worthing, which really doesn't look that high.
Fun fact, Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth. It is roughly 40 miles above sea level, or twice as tall as the highest point in Worthing.
How is that a fun fact? Everybody knows that. Plus, the rest of what you said is blatantly wrong. Okay, so the highest point in Worthing goes 184 meters up, not 20 miles as Jay said. And during the Iron Age, this was one of the largest hill forts in Britain. So, we can learn from the past when we're dealing with zombies, and since there was already a huge hill fort here, Worthing may want to look at putting another one here in the future. Apparently, there's a 3-meter deep ditch that went around this hill, so again, you put spikes in that, and you've got yourself a very safe place to be in a zombie apocalypse. You can see everything around you, so points to Worthing because of Sisbury Ring.
I wish Canada had cool names for places. We have Edmonton and Saskatchewan. Just doesn't roll off the tongue like Sisbury Ring or Piccadilly Circus.
Agreed. We don't have good names here in Canada. Okay, so that concludes another RU Zom-Safe. To recap what we went over here, number 1, Worthing has a high population, and that means a lot of zombies around you when the time comes. It also has a flint mine that can make useless weapons for you. 2, Worthing has phone booths that can be used to escape zombies using futuristic technology that only exists in British TV shows and bad American movies. 3, stone churches are a great place to hide out from the zombies until you're out of food and surrounded on all sides. Also, you can drop zombies on the steeple rather than using the precious gas of the helicopter to get away. 4, double-decker buses are mobile zombie-killing fortresses that can be very useful. 5, the sea allows you to escape by boat, or you can build a moat around yourself to protect you from zombies. You can also use said helicopter to encase you in steel rather than using it to get away. 6, there's a carousel, and that can be a hilarious way to kill zombies, while at the same time making you sick from the constant turning. 7, the highest point in Worthing is the perfect place to set up a defense against zombies because it has been used as a hill fort in the past. Plus, it has a ditch around it, and you can see for miles.
We have decided that Worthing, West Sussex, will get 4.5 stars out of 5. It gains points for being near the sea, having cool ways to kill zombies, a great hillside fort, and double-decker buses. However, it loses points because it has a high population and it will be a focal point for people in the area trying to escape by sea. Also, it loses points for having phone booths that cannot travel through time and space.
If you would like us to look at where you live to determine how well it would survive in a zombie apocalypse, please send information about your area and any photos you have to cjzomcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our weekly Zomcast comedy at deadonu.blogspot.com as well.